Conversation on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Information, education, motivation, real life, real topics. Welcome to Cayman Conversations, now streaming on Caymanian Times Facebook and YouTube channels. I am Ralph Lewis, and we spoke with Melanie McField and Mr. Carl Brown about the Heroes Day nominations. Now, here's that conversation. Good morning and welcome back to Cayman Conversations. And today we have two guests who I've been having the pleasure of speaking with before. Of course, we have Melanie McField from the CNCF and Mr. Carl Brown. He's in everything. So, Mr. Brown and Miss Melanie, welcome. And I would like to introduce yourself and say what you're representing here today.
Hi, good morning again, gentlemen. My name is Melanie Macfield Temporal, and I'm the Director for Programs and Communications for the Cayman National Cultural Foundation and a very proud member of this year's National Heroes Day Committee.
Um, Good morning to our listening audience, and thank you, Ralph, for hosting us. Good morning to Melanie, who represents a significant part of our cultural community, and we are glad to speak with you this morning. I am the representative for Bodden Town on the National Heroes Day Committee this year.
Okay, great. Well, we're here to talk about National Heroes Day, and it's something very close to my heart. I believe we need to always support and encourage and get involved and educate people on who our national heroes are. And so, Mr. Brown, just let us know what National Heroes Day is and what's happening.
National Heroes Day was enacted in law in 2009 by our government after recognizing that a part of us was absent, which is we were failing to recognize those amongst us who have contributed significantly to who we have become by being there in the days of very tiny economy, very struggling economy, very challenging environment, but lovely country with a great future. And it started in 2009. However, we did not have our first, um, started in 1993, sorry.
Yes,
My apologies. In
legislation was in
1993,
1993.
legislation was in 1993, and we did not have our first official public holiday until 2003. And thereafter, our public holiday was designated and set aside for us to recognize those amongst us who have been remarkable, who have been significant, and on whose shoulders we stand on. And every year we have a different theme where we emphasize a part of community and recognize individuals coalescing around that theme. Heroes Day is about enabling the champagne bubbles, those who have gone beyond and above to make our country wonderful, beautiful, livable, and sustainable. And this year, our theme is um, celebrating our cultural artists and creatives. National
Mhm.
Heroes Day is celebrated in January. It'll be January the 22nd next year. And I'll turn over to Mel.
Mhm. Yes. So to add to Carl, we have an exciting theme this year with which, as a representative of the National Culture Foundation, is near and dear to my heart. Cultural artists and creatives, and that's something we celebrate annually as part of our National Arts and Culture Awards as well. And the theme, just to give you a brief definition of what that theme follows, the cultural artists and creatives recognizes individuals and groups in the Cayman Islands whose creative work integrates, preserves, brings awareness, and educates the Caymanian culture and heritage through various artistic fields. So anything artistic, whether it's culinary, it's literary, visual, music, um, anything that's considered art, we're celebrating those artists and those creatives this year. And we have several categories, and I'll get into to explaining those. The first category is cherished classics, and that is for early pioneers. And this category is the most limited of the three categories, and it's limited to only 14, the top 14 nominations from across all three islands. And to be selected for this category, an individual must have produced artistic and creative work, which strictly aims to integrate, preserve, bring awareness, and educate on the culture and heritage of the Cayman Islands, and has remained popular, cherished, and appreciated across multiple generations for their artistic and creative work. So the commonality throughout the themes is to integrate, preserve, bring awareness, and educate.
Yes.
And the other theme, culinary luminary, sorry,
What about what?
cultural
Mhm.
luminary pioneers. These individuals evidently would have dedicated 20 plus years of consistent excellence through their artistic and creative work, produced artistic and creative work which strictly aims to, again, integrate, preserve, bring awareness, and educate on the culture and heritage of the Cayman Islands, and has received an award by an accredited, recognized body such as the NCF in the Cayman Islands or internationally for their artistic and creative work, reflecting the culture and heritage of the Cayman Islands. And our final category is cultural heritage groups. Now, these groups would have evidently dedicated 20 plus years of consistent excellence through their artistic and creative work, produced artistic and creative work which strictly aims to, again, integrate, preserve, bring awareness, and educate on the culture and heritage of the Cayman Islands. And they would have produced artistic and creative work voluntarily within the Cayman Islands. So we have three very distinct categories: cultural heritage groups, cultural luminary, and the cherished classics.
Okay, thank you very much. The nominations period has started. I think it's now running.
Yes.
Mr. Brown, can you give us some, tell us about why it's important to um, to nominate someone, and when will this deadline be for nominating someone?
Our history has been a history of significant striving. Our maritime heritage is indicative of that. The fact that we are so definitively different than our neighbors in terms of shipbuilding heritage and having one of the largest maritime inheritances in legacies in the world means that we were so busy at work that we neglected parts of community, which, in my estimation, we neglected to highlight our cultural icons, those who amongst us who were creative, because we were so busy taking care of food and taking care of children and family and enabling them to get education and enabling our community to rise from where it was back in the 50s, where mosquitoes were a significant challenge. And at this time, we are now paused to recognize amongst us those who kept the soul alive, those who kept eyes sparkling with their poetry, with their significant verse, with their ability in music, whether it was in a group um, or in singularly, and those who were storytellers, those who were drummers amongst us, those who weaved silver thatch materials into very active parts of our clothing and our day-to-day living, apart from those who crafted silver thatch rope, which was became iconic around the maritime world during the building of tall sail ships, and those who have been sculptors in wood and stone, those who have cooked creatively like none others. Now, these awards are not for everyone. They are for persons who have floated to the very top of our consciousness, that their names are constantly in mind and on our lips regarding their contribution as as when we sing our national song, and when we drive by certain iconic little homes where certain artists live. In each of our districts, we have people and persons who have been fundamental to enabling the spirit of Cayman, which is the fabric, the soul, the heart, where music lives, where poetry lives, where artistic expression in paint lives, where um, the sculpting of Caymanite lives, where um, the beauty of dance has come alive, and generally speaking, everything that points toward culture. So
Mhm.
between now and the 15th of October, we have the ability to go online and nominate persons who we know have done their duty, and we cannot take for granted that someone else will.
Mhm. And Carl has done an amazing job of articulating and summarizing the, some of the groups of artists that can be recognized. So you have dancers, you have musicians, you have um, chefs, cooks, musicians, you name it. And these are all of the people that we are to bear in mind when we're looking at nominating for next year's National Heroes Day. And the best way to do that, we've kept the process quite streamlined this year and kept everything online for for to ensure that the ease of the process is there, but also to ensure that we receive collectively all of the information that makes that application complete. And there's also the public libraries that are available for those that are not the most tech savvy and would need some help and in explaining how the process works. So you can get access to those forms on the gov.ky /YSCH website and just click on the nominate for NHD button, and that takes you straight to the nomination form. It's pretty self-explanatory. There are various formats that you can upload information to, inclusive of audio, picture formats, documents, PDFs, you name it. We've made it quite accessible and quite easy for you to upload all of the information that supports your application, because that's what's key, right? When the committee is looking through the nominations, we need to make sure we have, it's better to have more information than not enough. So,
Yes.
and I know a lot of people have questions about, you know, if they're not able to get online, if they have just general questions, they can also email us at nhd at gov.ky. That's nhd at gov.ky. Or they can give us a call at 244 2424.
Okay, great. Um, Mr. Brown,
Yes.
yes. Do we normally get a good support, a good feedback, a good nomination results from previous nominations?
Yes, we do. Uh, our biggest challenge is to motivate our nominators to do so early and to not take it for granted that someone else in the family will or another friend will, and to try to do so early to enable our nominating committee of 14, representing our districts, representing our protocol office, representing our Ministry of Culture, who are going to have to sit down to do the significantly challenging task of
Mhm.
making sure that information submitted will be assessed and we will arrive at the correct conclusions. Now, if you do not nominate, that person will not be in the lineup um, for um, for
Mhm.
discussion. And if you don't have a ticket, you don't stand a chance. The ticket at this moment is to make your nomination. So, um, as Mel has alluded to, it is an easy process. However, if you are not technically savvy, find someone who is. and there are people right beside you. At last resort, you can find your library and you can bring the information that you have, pictures, video, audio, and they will assist you to upload that information to validate your um, to validate your nomination. So
Mhm.
it is easy. However, it's not easy when you try to do it at the last moment. It's like
Yes.
cramming,
Okay.
and it is so unfortunate that we need to keep it in mind now. It's so unfortunate that sometimes as time slips away,
Yes.
it is at that very last moment before midnight on the 15th of October that
Mhm.
you realize that this person could have been considered and they were eligible. So please start combing through your each of your districts in the Sister Islands, in Northside, in Bordentown, in Georgetown, West Bay, East End.
Mhm.
Um, we we can do this. We need to step aside and speak to our elders who will jog we can jog their memory and they will jog ours, and together we can get this done.
Mhm.
If you don't submit your nomination, they will not be considered, and it is so unfortunate that those who could be would be left out because our we are not able to take submissions after the closing date on the 15th.
Okay.
And
I
if
have a
I might
question.
add,
Sorry.
sorry, I
Go ahead.
just to add to Carl's point,
Mhm.
we touched on groups and we touched on individuals, but there are
Yes,
also individuals within groups that can
yes,
be nominated. So if you're in a group or you nominate a group and it so happens that there's an individual in that group that is worthy of a nomination, that's also acceptable. And we highly encourage that. So don't think that, oh, well, I've already nominated this group and it has, Mr. John Brown in it, so I can't nominate him for an individual category. No, that's not the case. So please feel free to do that as well.
and also this nomination process includes those who can nominate themselves. So if you
Yes.
know that you have fit the category of our early pioneers, which there are only 14, and
Mhm.
our pioneers of our cultural luminaries, 20 plus years of continuous contribution to our national cultural life, um, in addition to the other criteria, or you have been part of cultural heritage groups, for example, a band or um, a choir or uh, a, a heritage group that has continuously contributed to the cultural fabric of the Cayman Islands over time,
Mhm.
nominate them.
Yes. And these groups
Oh,
may have passed on. Some of these members may have
Yes,
passed on. They're still
mhm.
eligible for nominations.
Okay,
Okay?
great.
yes,
So
we
that's
do
Okay.
have
important.
room for posthumous
Yes.
awards.
Okay.
Posthumous awards.
Yeah. Before we get to final words, I have a question I'd like both of you to comment on. And I'll start with
Mhm.
ladies first, Melanie. How important it is to recognize culture in the Cayman
Oh, how much time do we have?
Islands? It's up
I'll
to
keep
you.
it short. The recognition of culture is something, it's highly understated. Um, and it's an area that is not only passionate, but it's what I do for a living. But the importance of culture is something that we're missing out hugely, especially where the education system is concerned. And that's where the Cayman National Cultural Foundation comes in. And we feel it's our responsibility, partly our responsibility, because it's a collective responsibility of other entities as well, that we integrate and we become a part of the curriculum that allows the schools to teach true Caymanian heritage and keep the spirit, the culture, the heritage of these islands alive. And it cannot be pushed, you know, anymore. It's something that we really need to take home and take through the education system, because for me that's where it starts, and it's truly invaluable.
Thank you,
Yep.
Mr. Brown.
Culture is a significant part of us that usually is very truthful Sometimes it is very innocent. Sometimes it is angry in its presentation. But the bottom line is it reflects our inner soul and reflects our tenderness. It reflects our joy and it reflects the fibers of our speech. It reflects and distinguishes our tone. It distinguishes itself in our accents. It distinguishes itself in our definitive taste, a definitive smell, experience. It is culture is like a fabric with many colors that without certain fibers there is this absence. Today we are recognizing those pieces of fiber that um, constitute our fabric that make our country whole. At the center of culture, generally speaking, whether you're a sculptor or whether you're writing a story or recording prose or painting or dancing, you are speaking your truth within the context of where you have lived, um, and in most cases where you were born. And in this scenario, it is the experiences of the Cayman Islands that intersect in the soul of how we express ourselves in whatever way we express it in an artistic way.
Thank you very much.
Mm.
Final words,
So
Melanie. Any final words
yeah, I just
regarding the
want to
event and so on?
encourage,
Please.
uh, sorry, yes, just want to encourage everyone to visit the website and make your nominations. As we mentioned early, do not let October 15th, you know, catch up on you. And the deadline is strictly adhered to, and incomplete nomination forms will not be accepted. Please visit the website at gov.ky that's /YSCH, or you can give us a call on 244-2424 if you have any questions, or email us at nhd@gov.ky.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much. Mr. Brown, any final words?
Um, our community cannot be celebrated without the recognition of what beats in our hearts, what constitutes our soul. And the soul of our community is our culture, and it manifests itself in our through the hands and through the voices of our creatives. And this is what this year's um, theme and celebration is all about. It is not for everyone. There are people who will probably come just to the cusp of recognition, but they do not have the years, and their materials have not necessarily been as resonant as others. That time will come about again for those who have started on this journey. If there is somebody who has passed away, there's an opportunity for them to be recognized. I'd like to thank our audience for listening. I'd like to thank um, Mr. Lewis and the Medium of Caymanian Times. And I'd like to thank our ministry for enabling us to be part of this process because it is so important. And we are grateful as a committee to give our efforts to recognizing those amongst us who have been remarkable amongst us.
My sentiments as
Uh,
well. Thank you for hosting us as well, Ralph. Appreciate
you're
that.
welcome, and I hope to see you again soon. And just encourage everyone to please take some time and nominate. Thank you. Have a great day.
Absolutely.
And invite you to add your comments in our social media feeds. Remember to like our Facebook and YouTube pages for your invitation for our next conversation, and also pick up your free newspaper on Wednesdays and Fridays. Cayman Conversations is a production of the Caymanian Times newspaper. Until next time, have a great weekend.
Red light. Yeah. Na, 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 na. troubles away. Oh yeah. Walk on the white sandy beaches. I call from the turquoise sea. You know you're right where you're meant to be. If you find yourself believing, if you find yourself still dreaming, if you find yourself in love with life, you found yourself in Cayman kind. We're in Cayman kind. Are you Cayman kind? Living in Cayman kind. If you find yourself believing, Cayman kind. If you find yourself still dreaming, Cayman kind. The sun is up, and it's up, and it's up. The sun is up, and it's up, la la la, la 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 la. All your troubles away. If you find yourself believing, Cayman kind. I wanna walk with you on the white sandy beaches. La 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 la, la la la.
The sun is up and it's smiling.
La la la.
Another clear blue perfect